Our lesson today is on Saint Francis Xavier Cabrini, and I want you to note how good my boys have been. Saint Francis Xavier Cabrini, MSc, in Italian, Francesca Saverio Cabrini, born July 15th, 1850, died December 22nd, 1917, also called Mother Cabrini, was an Italian-American Roman Catholic nun who founded the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, a Catholic religious institute that was a major support to the Italian immigrants in the United States. She was the first naturalized citizen of the United States to be canonized by the Roman Catholic Church on 7 July 1946. After the deaths of her parents in 1870, she applied for admission to the religious congregation of the Daughters of the Sacred Heart at Arluno. These sisters were her former teachers, but, reluctantly, they told her she was too frail for their life. She became instead the headmistress of the House of Providence, an orphanage in Carduno, where she taught and drew a small community of women to live a religious way of life. Cabrini took religious vows in 1877 and added Xavier to her name to honor the Jesuit saint Francis Xavier, the patron saint of the missionary service. In November of 1880, she and 6 other women who had taken religious vows with her founded the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, MSC, the abbreviation. Cabrini composed the rules and constitutions of the religious institute, and she continued as its superior general until her death. The sisters took in orphans and foundlings. Foundlings are those children who are left at the gate. Opened a day school to help pay expenses, and started classes in needlework, and sold their fine embroidery to earn a little more money. In September 1877, Cabrini went to seek approval of the Pope to establish missions in China. Instead, he suggested to her that she go to the United States to help the Italian immigrants who were flooding to that nation in that era, mostly in great poverty. Not to the east, he said, but to the west, was his advice. Cabrini left the United States, arriving in New York City on 31 March 1889, along with 6 other sisters. In New York, she encountered disappointment and difficulties. Cabrini established a house and organized catechism and education classes for the Italian immigrants and provided for the needs of the many orphans. She established schools and orphanages, and despite many tremendous odds, she opened hospitals. In Chicago, the sisters opened Columbus Extension Hospital, later renamed St. Cabrini Hospital, in the heart of the city's Italian neighborhood on the near west side. She founded 67 institutions in New York, Chicago, Des Plaines, Illinois, Seattle, New Orleans, Denver, Golden, Colorado, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, in the counties and in the countries throughout South America and Europe. Long after her death, the missionary sisters would achieve Cabrini's goal of being missionaries in China. But in only a short time after the social and religious upheavals there, the sisters left China and subsequently a Siberian placement. Cabrini was a naturalized United States citizen in 1909. Cabrini died of complications from dysentery at the age of 67 at the Columbus Hospital in Chicago, Illinois on 22nd December 1917 while preparing Christmas candy for the local children. By that time, She had founded 67 missionary institutions, served the sick, poor, and trained additional sisters to carry on the work. Her body was originally interred at St. Cabrini Home and Orphanage she had founded in West Park, Ulster County, New York. In 1931, her body was exhumed as part of the canonization process. At that time, her head was removed and is preserved in the chapel of the Congregation's International Mother House in Rome. An arm is at the National Shrine in Chicago, while most of the rest of the body is at the shrine in New York. Cabrini was beatified on 13 November 1938 by Pope Pius XI and canonized on 7 July 1946 by Pope Pius XII. Her beatification miracle involved the restoration of sight and healing of the disfigurements of one-day-old baby who had been blinded by a 50% silver nitrate solution that had been applied instead of the normal 1% solution in the child's eyes. The child, named Peter Smith, would later be present at her canonization and become a priest. Her canonization miracle involved the healing of a terminally ill member of her congregation. When she was canonized, 120,000 people from all over the area filled Soldier Field for a Mass of Thanksgiving. St. Francis Xavier Cabrini is the patron saint of immigrants and of the religious institute, the Servants of the Lord and the Virgin of Matera, Servidores. Mother Cabrini is also the informally recognized effective intercessor of those for finding a parking space. May the peace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with each of you always.